I'm on my way to pick up Stephanie. She's coming home from work. She's been out for the last, like 3 days or so. Actually, Lilo just fell out of bed before I got in the car to come here. So hopefully she'll be all sorted out by the time we get back. Her grandmother had her, so she's calmed down a little bit. But I woke up to her tumbling out of bed, and it's kind of a racket. Then I went to the bathroom, smashed my head into a light fixture, kind of low hanging, and knocked that off the wall. So it's been a tumultuous morning. In this episode today, you might want to stand back a little bit because I'm fixing to rant. Okay, so here's my rant. Something that I've noticed, and I legitimately don't understand it. It is a reaction, a really adverse reaction that seems to happen a lot whenever one mentions low-carb eating in the general population of people with diabetes, especially with people with type 1. And I don't understand what the negativity and the reaction is for. There's a handful of people that are like, oh yeah, that's a no-brainer. That's how come I'm able to live with my diabetes and it doesn't get in my way. And there's a lot of other people that get really, really irate and very defensive even. They really bristle about it. And so to me, diet is always the thing when I see somebody struggling and they say, what can I do to improve this outcome? I say, well, have you tried this? Because experimentation is what gives us different results than the ones that we're getting. If we're doing the same thing over and over again, even if we were told by our doctors that this is how you're supposed to eat and that you're supposed to get 80 grams of carbohydrate at every meal, and you're taking your insulin like you're supposed to, and you're doing all these things the way that you've been taught, but you're getting results that are making you depressed, that are problematic, and keeping you from enjoying your life and feeling good about yourself, then it would make sense to try something different. And if you're going to try something different, it would also make sense to try something that has the smallest downside, the lowest cost, the lowest time commitment, the easiest thing to do, and the most accessible variable that you can change. Again, this is diet. It's been like emotionally burdensome to me being involved in the type 1 community and seeing so many people who are struggling because their doctors aren't giving them the information that they need. And there's a lot of people around them who just say, oh, it's cool, just take more insulin and don't worry about it because you can't do anything about your diabetes. It's like that ship has sailed and we're just all sick and helpless until a cure comes along. When I struggle with my blood sugar, I say, okay, what can I change? And there has to be a solution. That is my mindset coming from the beginning. But like in the community, there's a significant percentage of the vocal population that seems to have this mentality that there are no solutions. I'm saying, can we do better? I'm asking a question. Can we do better? I ask this question of myself every single day. And undoubtedly, there are things that I can do better. There are people who have A1Cs that are a full point below mine. And I'm not beating myself up about that, but I am thinking about that, and I'm thinking, how can I do better? Without judgment, without pressure, and even doing it from a very understated standpoint still provokes the ire of so many people who get really upset when you talk in the language of solutions and outcomes and benefits, because I suspect that they have not taken the time to really try these things themselves, and it's much easier to just say, oh, this doesn't work, and roll your eyes and be dismissive of it. And I've seen so many people who won't try any of this stuff, but at the same time will hate on it, and I've been in that position before too. It's easy to poke fun, it's easy to roll your eyes, it's easy to be offended and insulted. It's a lot harder to take seriously something that is out there and say, you know what? Is there room for improvement? And the bigger question is like, what can we all do better to elevate our game, to help each other and educate each other more, instead of just rolling over and acquiescing to the fact that because there isn't a pill or a surgery or an implantable device that can just take our diabetes away, that we have to just accept being unhealthy and that we have to accept being sick and a victim of this condition. So that is my position, and it's this same issue that started me on Living Vertical 5 years ago, because I feel like even though it pisses some people off, it's important to put out there that diabetes is hard, but it's not impossible, and that it is something we can learn. It is something that we can live with, and that we can thrive with and prosper with. And it takes willingness to be wrong. It takes willingness to experiment. It takes humility, and it takes time, and it takes looking at things that work, doing more of that, looking at things that don't work, and doing something different, and doing it all with discipline. Freedom through discipline. That's the takeaway from all of this, and I don't understand why that's anathema to so many people. So I'd be interested to hear what you think. Am I all wet on this, or is there some validity to this viewpoint that we ought to be asking, what can we do better as individuals and as a community? Because that is the way that we're going to unlock our potential to go beyond the limitations of diabetes every day, regardless what it is that we're doing with our lives. So tomorrow we're flying back out west. We're flying out to Spokane. And so for pretty much the rest of today and tomorrow morning, I'm going to be pretty busy getting everything packed up and ready to go, because one thing that I've learned is that you can't leave stuff behind if you're going to need it. Otherwise, there's like all this process and hassle of like mailing stuff back and forth, and it can be really difficult. So going through my checklist mentally, making sure I have everything that I need is super important. And that means that I'm probably not going to make a really long vlog today. Back in the cardboard box studio and getting everything buttoned up to go back out west for another couple of months. Okay, so I'm just about there, although I have to admit that I am returning with more stuff than I arrived with. And that's honestly a little bit of a concern, because space is at a premium, and it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, I've got room for one more thing when I'm out here in a house. Part of the reason why I have more stuff is because we got a tent coming back out with us that we didn't have before for our trip into the Canadian Rockies, and some of the time we're up there, we're going to try to do some camping. And also I'm bringing back the macadamia nuts and walnuts and some supplements and some food items that are going to be transient. So I'm not quite as worried about all of this stuff creating too much clutter, because a lot of the stuff that's going out there, it's going to get used up and it won't create space for long. Well, the rain finally stopped. I know the light is probably not great right now. I spent the afternoon getting all my stuff ready to go, and I'm about ready to leave here. I'm a little bit worried about whether or not we're going to have enough Wi-Fi to be able to post a vlog tomorrow, but I'm going to see what we can do. It's kind of weird, like I don't know what I'm going to shoot most days. A lot of times it's just kind of seeing what happens and then doing my best to grab something out of that, and it's nice because it kind of forces me to be a little bit more deliberate, a little more creative, and just to see stuff happening and see things that would be interesting to shoot, even if there's not necessarily a story there. Just being able to see something that's like, oh, that might look cool if I sped it up a little bit, or if I looked at it from a different angle. So I enjoy that part of the daily vlogging so far, and it's the one thing that really does concern me a little bit is just being able to get enough internet to be able to post vlogs when we're on the road, because I know most daily vloggers are usually in one location or going from point to point. Like I watch Fun for Louie and some of those other ones, these guys they're traveling, and so they're able to post stuff when they get to wherever they're going. But a lot of times where we're going are places that are kind of in the wilderness. So we're gonna have to see how that goes, and there might be a few days, in the next couple of weeks where we're not able to upload anything, and so maybe we'll just do double videos on some days or whatever. I'm not really sure how that's gonna work exactly, but we're gonna do our best, and hopefully we'll see you in those episodes. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, because we're going to be putting the adventure back in the AdventureRx as we're heading out west. Got work done and out of the way for a while, so now it's time to go play in the mountains.